Thanks for joining us. A follow-up now on a KAKE News on Your Side story.
Yeah, last month we told you about the trauma law enforcement face on the job. The Wichita Police Department has a team to help its officers process those traumatic events. Sergeant Stephen Yarberry runs the Critical Incident Stress Management Team. He opened up about his own battle when he was a rookie officer involved in a shooting. Yeah, that story led to a meeting that some thought would never happen. KAKE News investigator Krista Miller is here now with more.
Yeah, guys, it's been 30 years since Sergeant Stephen Yarberry was forced to shoot and kill a Wichita man. He never knew what happened to that man's family until our story aired.
It's hard to talk about.
I had a little bit of anxiety, and like I said at the start of this, I never thought this day would come up.
These two are writing the final chapter of a story more than 30 years in the making. They have a connection neither of them wanted. And to tell you about it, we have to take you back to the night it started, the night two families were changed forever.
When police arrived, Simon came outside on the porch and pointed a shotgun at the officers. The officers fired shots immediately, striking Simon in the chest. He died about an hour later.
December 19th, 1987, days before Christmas, and it should have been a quiet night. Instead, lights and sirens filled this West Wichita neighborhood. A rookie cop, Stephen Yarberry, found himself in a tense situation. He and a second officer were responding to a domestic dispute that escalated.
I'm gonna say within 5 minutes, and they said shots had been fired.
At the home, Yarberry came face to face with the armed suspect, Douglas Simon.
I said, drop the gun. He goes, no, drop yours. And he came up and he pointed it at me.
Yarberry shot Simon once in the chest.
Time just went slow, and all I'm seeing is the end of this barrel. I shot probably less than a second after he said, no, drop yours.
That fleeting moment turned into years of turmoil, all of it starting in this now empty lot. But Yarberry's life wasn't the only one changed. After our story aired, we got an email from the woman who lost her father that night.
How are you?
Kari Simon was just 5 years old when she and her siblings ran with their mom, escaping the violence just before police arrived. But after that night, life wasn't easy.
As a kid, you really don't understand what happens. You wait by the door.
And Dad didn't come home, right?
Their landlord evicted them the very next day.
I remember my mom didn't have the money to bury my dad.
Simon shoved the hurt and the unanswered questions to the back of her mind.
Payne Elementary, we had an officer to visit the class. Well, it was freshly after what had happened. I asked him if he killed my dad, and I feel so bad about that. And he started crying.
Then Simon saw our story.
I did want to know more. I just wanted to meet you.
At the KAKE studios, in an unlikely meeting, Simon met Sergeant Yarberry, the man who pulled the trigger that night. And it came with questions from all those years ago.
Did he have a weapon on him?
Oh, yeah.
He never...
Oh, yeah. He had a 12-gauge shotgun.
But incredibly, Simon had something she wanted to offer Yarberry.
So I at least wanted to tell you that I know what you're going through, and if you're not okay, it'll be okay.
For Yarberry, he has spent years thinking about that night.
Part of my emotions, or one part of it was, wow, what did I do? You know, it's right before Christmas. I just took these kids' dad from them.
And for Simon, she says this chance meeting will help her family to finally begin something that has eluded them, a chance to heal.
Everybody kind of copes in their own way, so you just have to find a way.
And for both of those families, they experienced something so traumatic that night, and that was the idea behind our first story about traumatic events. And we take our slogan on your side very seriously. So with this story on KAKE.com, we are listing dozens of mental health professionals who work with trauma victims of all income levels, because you shouldn't have to suffer because of income. And remember, if you have a tip for KAKE News on your side, give us a call or email us at investigates@kake.com. Live in the studio, Krista Miller, KAKE News on your side.